All English Podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to All English Podcast. Let me start with a question that might sound familiar. Have you ever asked something in English, grammatically correct, clearly pronounced, and still felt that the other person suddenly became a little cold, a little distant, or slightly uncomfortable? If that has ever happened to you, this episode is especially for you, because today, we're talking about two very small words that can completely change how polite, friendly, or professional you sound in English. Those two words are can and could. Most English learners already know these words. They know the grammar. They know the dictionary meaning. But what many learners don't know is the feeling behind them. And in real English, feeling is everything. Very often, communication problems are not about pronunciation. And they're not about vocabulary either. They're about choice. And the choice between can and could is one of the most powerful examples of that. So let's start from the beginning and build this naturally. Can is a modal verb. We use it to talk about ability, permission, and possibility. For example, I can swim. I can speak English. That's ability, simple and clear. We also use can for permission. Can I use your phone? Can I sit here? This is completely correct English, and native speakers use it every single day. So where is the problem? The problem is not grammar. The problem is politeness level. Can sounds direct. It sounds strong. Sometimes it sounds friendly and casual. But in certain situations, it can sound a little too strong. Now, let's talk about could. Grammatically, could is the past form of can. But this is very important to understand. In polite request, could is not about the past at all. In request, could is about distance. And distance in English culture creates politeness. When native speakers use could, they are making the request feel safer, softer, and more respectful. Listen carefully to this difference. Can you help me? This sounds direct. It is not rude, but it is strong. Now listen again. Could you help me? This sounds softer, more respectful, more polite. Same request. Completely different feeling. Now imagine a real-life situation. You are in a cafe. You say, "Can I have a coffee?" That's totally normal, especially in casual places. But if you say, "Could I have a coffee?" you sound more careful, more polite, and slightly more formal. Both sentences are correct, but they are not equal in tone, and this brings us to something very important: power and relationships. When you speak to friends, family, or people you know well, can is usually natural. Can you send me the file? Can you wait a second? But when you speak to strangers, customers, teachers, bosses, or anyone you want to show respect to, could is the safer choice. Could you send me the file? Could you wait a moment? Now let's talk about tone for a second. English politeness is not only about the words themselves. It's also about tone of voice. But if you're using an AI voice, or if controlling tone is difficult for you, choosing could automatically makes your English sound more polite. Another important concept here is indirectness. English culture often prefers indirect requests. Could helps you sound indirect without being unclear. For example, "Can you open the window?" In some situations, this can sound like a command. But, "Could you open the window?" clearly sounds like a request. And here's something many learners misunderstand. Using could doesn't mean you think the person can't do it. It doesn't show doubt. It shows respect. Could is not weak English. It's educated English. Now let's talk about work situations because this is very practical. Can you check this email? This is fine when you're speaking to a colleague at the same level, but could you check this email when you have time? This sounds professional, considerate, and calm. Native speakers often add extra polite phrases too. Could you please help me? Could you possibly explain this again? Please adds politeness. Could adds softness. Together, they sound very natural. Now let's look at something more advanced, negative requests. Can you not talk so loudly? This sounds sharp. Could you not talk so loudly? This sounds much softer and more controlled. The same idea applies to permission. Can I leave early today? Direct. Could I leave a bit early today? More respectful. And remember this clearly. In requests, could is not about time. It's about attitude. Here's a very useful comparison. Can you help me now? This sounds urgent. Could you help me when you have time? This sounds thoughtful. Now let's talk about common mistakes. One big mistake is thinking Ken is rude. It's not rude. It is just less polite. Another mistake is overusing could with close friends. With friends can often sound more natural. Native speakers switch between can and could all the time. They choose based on mood, relationship, and situation. That's fluency, not rules. Choice. So here's a powerful guideline you can remember. If you want to sound casual and confident, use can. If you want to sound polite and careful, use could. This works in most situations. And let's finish with a mindset shift. English politeness is not about being weak. It's about being aware. When you choose could, you're showing social intelligence and emotional awareness. And that's what makes your English sound advanced. Take a breath. Listen again. Repeat the examples out loud because language lives in your voice, not in grammar books. Thank you for listening to All English Podcast. If this episode helped you, make sure to subscribe and share it with another English learner. Keep learning. Keep noticing small differences and trust yourself. Your English is becoming more natural every day.